Hello, darkness, my old friend. You've come to talk with me again. Sens lose 6-4 to the Minnesota Wild. Every game, it's the same thing. Roller coasters, 1980s hockey, can't play defense to save their lives, always blowing it, poor stretches of hockey. It's like watching an 82-game movie series. Each movie follows the same script almost to a T. I guess as a fan, that's a good thing, right? As fans, we always want to know what our teams are. Well, we know this Sens team will play entertaining hockey almost every night. They'll score a ton of goals, they'll give up a ton of goals, and in the end, they'll almost always find a way to blow it. Or at least barely hang on. It's funny though. Ottawa barely showed up for the first two periods. Yes, they scored once, but they managed just 14 total shots and 16 total scoring chances. To contrast that, the Wild had 26 shots, 23 scoring chances, and led 4-1 going to the third. Yet, despite trailing 4-1 going to the third and looking really awful for the first two periods, my takeaway from the game isn't that they played poorly. It's that they blew a chance to win. Even though they played less than 16 minutes total, the chance to win was actually there. They just handed it away. As always though, let's start with lineup changes. With the Sens getting healthy, the lineup changes segment is getting really short and really easy. For the second straight game, the Sens kept the lineup the exact same. Andy starts in goal, Weidman and McCormick are the scratches. And the first period, it was awful for the Sens. Their first shot didn't come for almost 4 minutes. They had 4 total shots on goal and didn't have a shot at all over the last 4.5 minutes of the period. That's 2 stretches of hockey where the Sens went nearly half the period without a shot. That's just not good enough. And with the Sens struggling in the opening period, the Wild take advantage. With 4 minutes to play in the period, Eriksson Ek takes a shot that goes off the crossbar. Oh, thank goodness, went off the bar and out. No goal. The puck goes back the other way and then comes back to the Sens zone. Eriksson Ek drives wide and throws a pass through the crease. With nobody covering Greenway, he easily bangs it by Anderson and the Wild lead 1-0. Are you kidding me? Bailed out by a crossbar and not even 20 seconds later you give up that goal? Not only that, but it was another classic example of the Senators not knowing how to play defense. The Sens had 3 players back, and all 3 of them were standing in a tightly compacted triangle to the left of Anderson. Greenway, he came from the right. Batherson was slow on the back check, and that gave Greenway all the time he needed. Batherson has to do a much better job of back checking, but the Sens had 3 players back. They need to stop puck watching. Chabot had his man, that's fine. Jarosz was covering the guy in front of the net, that's okay too. But Duchesne was just kind of floating around. At what point are we going to start worrying about defense? Despite the Wild scoring with less than 4 minutes to play, they make sure that's not their only goal of the period. After Brady Tkachuk, Zach Parise, and Thomas Chabot all took minor penalties within a minute and a half of each other, the Wild go to a 4-on-3 power play. While on that power play, Granlund sends a cross-ice feed to Dumba. He one-times it short side by Anderson, and the Wild lead 2-0 with 11 seconds left in period 1. Another power play goal against, another last-second goal, and another multi-goal deficit. I know it was a 4-on-3 power play, so there was a lot of ice, and I know it was a nice pass and a nice finish, but it just keeps piling on. Ottawa's penalty killing is terrible, so here's a power play goal, and they're notorious for giving up last-minute goals, so here's a goal with 11 seconds left, and they're pretty good about digging themselves a hole too, so take a 2-0 lead into the first intermission. But 1 power play goal against and a 2-goal lead wasn't enough. The Sens make it 2-3 just 6 minutes into period 2. Granlund feeds Stahl at the top of the circles. He blows it by Anderson, and the Wild lead 3-0. Puck movement just picked this team apart against the Wild. Fortunately, the Sens get back in the game. Bodker collects a Jarosz clearing attempt and races in on a 2-on-1 with Tierney. Bodker makes a nice feed through the skates of Dumba, and Tierney calmly taps it into the yawning cage to cut the Sens deficit to 3-1. What an incredible pass by Bodker. There wasn't a lot of room there, and he somehow made sure to still get it through to Tierney. Also credit Bodker on the play, as the puck was rolling on him before he made the pass. He took some time to calm it down before making the pass, which probably helped the puck get through to Tierney. Unfortunately, the goal does little to gain any Sens momentum, as they go more than 4 minutes without a shot for the second period in a row, and give up a late period goal to once again trail by 3. Dumba's point shot somehow finds its way through and gets by Andy to put the Wild in front 4-1. Man alive, there's 2 forwards standing there watching Dumba. They both kind of stand there like, here's the shooting lane, take it. Dumba, of course, does, and now the Sens' deficit is 3 goals. Typically, I don't like to count the Sens out when they have a big deficit going to the third, but with the way they played in the first 2 periods, I'm pretty sure they're dead to rights in this one. I was just hoping the game would end quickly and relatively pain-free. But 52 seconds into period 3, Thomas Chabot blasts home a point shot off the rush to cut the Sens' deficit to 4-2. Not only did Ottawa score, but they did it shorthanded. Incredible. And now all of a sudden, the Sens have some early momentum. Maybe a comeback is possible. Just past the midway mark of the period, the Sens cut further into their deficit. Zach Smith wins the faceoff back to Jarosz. His point shot finds a way through everybody, including Devan Dubnyk, and all of a sudden, Ottawa trails just 4-3. It's a big goal as it cuts the Sens' deficit to 1, but more importantly, it's the first National Hockey League goal of Christian Jarosz's career. Jarosz becomes the 4th Sens rookie to score his first career NHL goal this season, and like the other 3, I'm sure it was a real proud moment for the Slovak blue liner. Good for him. Jarosz also picked up an assist on Tierney's second period goal, giving him a goal and 2 assists since drawing into the lineup on Monday. Add in the fact Jarosz is a +1 in those games, despite the Sens giving up 13 goals, and it would appear he's starting to run away with the battle for the 6th defensive spot. That goal seemed to spark the Sens too, who needed less than a minute before tickling the twine again. Pyatt forces a turnover behind the Wild net. He sends it in front to White, who quickly one-times it by Dubnyk to tie the game at 4. White fanned on the shot, which actually probably helped as it seemed to float over Dubnyk and go in, and with 7:05 left, the Wild make a goaltending change. Alex Stalock comes in for Dubnyk, and it seems to calm the Wild down. Not even a minute and a half after the Sens tie the game, Eric Staal gets his second of the night to put the Wild in front, 5-4. Does somebody want to play defense? The Sens had all 5 players below the hash marks again. And once again, they let the player slide in untouched. Zucker hits Staal with a pass, he blows it by Anderson, and the Sens have a deficit once again. And in a cruel twist of fate, Staal's shot was fanned, much like White's was. And much like White's, it fooled the goalie to get by him. You just got the game tied, and you immediately hand it back. Tie the game up again, boys! With the net empty, the Sens get outworked, as Koivu takes the puck, feeds Parise, Parise feeds Fair hits the empty net, and the Wild skate away with a 6-4 win. Yes, I know, I shouldn't be frustrated, but the chance to win was there. Despite playing awful for 2 periods, they really gave it away. And it's always the same thing. The front of the net is the easiest place to score against the Sens. You find me another team that's true, and I'll show you another team that gives up a ton of goals and has trouble winning hockey games. It just can't happen. And not only does it happen, but it happens over and over and over again. And it doesn't seem to be improving any. As always, let's get into good news, bad news. I'll be honest. Some nights it's tough to find some good news, while others, it's tough to find some bad news. I could say the good news is they didn't quit, which is true, but how many times can you say the good news is they didn't quit before it just becomes no news at all? After the way the game went, and knowing that I have to come up with some good news somewhere, I'll make the good news some backhanded good news after that one. While their power play was no good, going 0 for 4, and their penalty killing wasn't much better, going just 2 for 4, they somehow managed to hang around. Admittedly, their shorthanded goal from Chabot played a key role, but the Sens still lost the special teams battle. Anytime you lose the special teams battle, you should lose. The Sens suffered that fate. Shorthanded goals are bonuses, and typically when you look at the special teams battle, you look at power play goals. The Wild won that 2-0. The Wild already had a 2-0 edge over the Sens, thanks to their win in the special teams battle, yet somehow the Sens hung around. As disappointing as it was to see them play like they did, and as disappointing as it was to see them blow it like they did, at least it was nice to see them hang around despite losing the special teams battle. Now, the bad news. Ottawa finished every period terribly. They went more than the final 4 minutes of the first period without a shot, and then followed that up in the second by doing exactly the same thing. Then in the third, after tying the game and chasing Devan Dubnyk, managed just 1 shot over the final 7:05 against Alex Stalock. That's a more than 15-minute stretch over the course of the 3 periods where the Sens managed just a single shot. It's simply not good enough. You can't pick and choose when you're going to play and when you're not. Look at the final few minutes of each period. The Sens managed just a single shot, while the Wild scored 5 of their 6 goals in the same span. You want to know why the game was lost? Ottawa didn't finish periods well enough. Plain and simple. Next up, The Sens continue their 4-game road trip with a stop in Dallas on Friday night. Coming into the contest, the Sens hold the edge in the season series, having won their only other meeting, 4-1 in Ottawa on October 14th. Since then, both teams are rolling along right at 500, with the Stars having the better edge thanks to a better start to the season as they sit in the second wildcard spot in the West with a record of 11-9-2. Meanwhile, the Sens sit 5 points back of the Montreal Canadiens for the second wildcard spot in the East, holding a record of 9-10-3. Ottawa's poor road record will once again be on the line as they look for just their third win in 10 tries away from the Canadian Tire Centre. Meanwhile, the Stars will look to pick up their 8th win in 12 tries at home. Getting the crowd out of the game and keeping Benn, Seguin, Radulov, and Klingberg off the score sheet will be key if the Sens hope to pick up a win. See you Friday night.